Hello, welcome to Promise Resource Network. I'm Jane, and this is Body, Mind, Spirit. So it's one of my favorites because it's like the trifecta of me, right? It's the trifecta of you. It's the things. It's the sum that make. It's the parts that make up the sum, and we're all something to talk about. So I'm going to give everyone a moment to tune in to this Monday. It's Monday if you're catching this live. If it's not Monday morning, then you're catching it on a replay, and I'm really grateful that you're catching it. And I would love to hear your comments, even if you catch it on the replay, because I get to go back and I read them. So whatever you add, I always enjoy reading. It's always inspiring for me. So there's that. So good day, y'all. How are you? Good morning, Thurman's joining us. I want to say, hey, how are you? How you doing? How's your body feeling? How's your mind? Hey, LaShonda, how are you on this now? Happy you're joining. Why do I sing it? I don't know. It is strange and that I know people. Good morning, Charles. Hey, happy day of dreams, he says. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Good morning, Kim and Michael. Y'all are just making my day telling me you're here. I love it. I love it. Alan is here. Yay. Welcome back, Alan. Oh, it's so good to see you on here, brother. How are you? How have you been? Ah, it is so good to have you all with me. Y'all don't even know. It truly, I like it a lot. Thurman says, feeling well, thankfully, right? I feel that. I woke up this morning and I was like, I feel good. I didn't feel like jumping out of the bed kind of great. And I felt good. I was like, I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this good. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to hold on to this good that I feel and see if I can anchor it in, expand it out, and share it with anyone that I get to come in contact with. But, it's COVID season, so that's few. I want to say good morning to my mother, the other Jane. How are you? I love you so much. And good morning to Mars in the house. Cha, 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 cha. It's so good to see y'all on here. Ah. Y'all, it's MLKJR Day, which I tend to love. I feel like it's a really great day for all of us to reflect on so much. Like this dude, right? This dude stood up in the face of adversity and spoke his truth. Truth with a capital T, right? Truth in the name of love. Truth in the name of oneness. Truth in the name of like calling some shiz out and being like, y'all suck. And this is not okay, right? Like, how brave of a soul was he? Like, but for real, right? Like, how brave of a soul. And today is this day that we get to, I think, reflect on that type of strength and courage. I think that so oftentimes we look at humans in strength and courageous times as usually really aggressive. When I think of the storybooks about, the wars and this and that, it's the people that did harm that are praised, and it's so rare that, well, and then I was going to say, like, then you have the people that are like super compassion, we'll say like Mother Teresa, right? Like, she wasn't standing up being like, hey, y'all, she was like going about and doing her thing with her medicine. It's so infrequently, I think, in our history where people have been able to be courageous and speak up and stand up in the name of love, right? In the name of unity. So I like that we get this day to hopefully reflect on a really courageous human who was able to stand up and speak up in the name of love in the face of adversity. Because y'all, that is not easy, right? I don't think it's easy anyway. would you like to say top of the morning to Tina? Top of the morning to you. So here's a question. Because as you can see right there, the topic I want to talk about is integration. And this is so going to tie into everything. I'm so excited. So here's a question, because I love questions and I love when y'all like hang out and chat and chime in with me. So, first of all, here's just flat out. Are you courageous enough to stand up and speak out in the name of love and unity in the face of adversity? Like, no harm, no foul in either direction, no judgment if the answer is yes or no. I'm just curious, like, if you actually ask yourself, am I courageous enough to stand up and speak out in the name of love in the face of adversity, right? Which means maybe standing up to family members that don't agree, right? Standing up to maybe the church that you've grown up in who have a belief system that maybe doesn't quite feel aligned with, say, love and unity. Or, maybe your community. What if? Like, are you courageous enough to speak up in the name of love and unity in the face of adversity? I'm curious. I'm really curious. I want to say good morning to Tanisha. It says, I have to stand up to protect myself and others, right? Marsh says, I am and I have. Yes. I'm curious, y'all. Are you brave enough to stand up in the name of love in the face of adversity? Got a yes from my mom. And I ask because when there is adversity in front of us, a lot of times we tend to step down. We do. We tend to step down. As soon as we get met with resistance, we tend to stand down. Thurman says, sure, yay. God, I'm liking all the yeses. And if you say no, I'm not going to dislike that. I'm actually it'll bring more into conversation. So again, no judgment if you're like, no, I don't feel courageous enough. I don't feel strong enough. I don't feel confident enough. Because y'all, whenever we have opportunities to like speak up, like it's almost like going against the flow, right? When I think about some images that we've seen of people being hurt or abused, right? And this could be hurt and abused like down the street or in like a country where all the children are being starved to death, right? How often do we actually stand up? Because I think oftentimes when we stand up in this name of love, some people respond with, oh, you're just crazy. Literally, that is what they say, right? You're making a big deal out of this. Now, this is the way it's always been. They don't deserve help, right? Like these are the responses that we get. And these responses can actually come from like the preacher or a parent. And if that's what we've been reflected and given back, then how can we stand up with so much more courage, right? For the betterment of all in the name of love. Charles shares, and when I asked, are you courageous enough to stand up, speak up in the name of love in the face of it? Charles says most times, depending on how aggressive the other person or group is because of physical harm, right? That right there, that's a thing. Like I've been in places where it's like a lot of hate mongering and I tend to not have fear, which is probably a bubble of safety around me. That's what I'll say. It's either that or it's going to get me killed. I don't know, one of the two. But like, I'll stand up in front of a lot of people and be like, you're being so hateful. Like, can you go inside and find some type of compassion? And I'm so sorry that your parents taught you how to be this way. And if it's a big hate mongering group, there's this fear that they could turn on me, right? they could turn on me. So then I may not be as big and loud and be like, shut up, you hate mongerers, right? Tina says, love takes many forms and sometimes speaks softly. I hear and I feel, and I totally resonate with that too. I saw someone share something today that it kind of made me sad. And I'd like to share it, and I would like to know your thoughts and feedback on this. Because when I talk about this integration, right, this integration of the body, the mind, and the spirit, right, integrating into my higher self, right, into this frequency of love, right, that's like the baseline of all things well, healthy, good, expansive, right, it's the baseline. So when I talk about integration, it's like integrating the way our mind, our thoughts are working, the way my body moves, the way I take care of it, the way I nourish it, the way I rest it, and my spiritual aspect, right? The connection I have with my inner light and the connection with all the inner lights of all beings everywhere, right? The oneness of that. So I would like to know your all's thoughts for real. So someone shared something today, and she was sharing that, like, I don't want to see your MLKJR quotes posted today, because unless you're standing up actively for Black lives, then it's basically you're just a parrot and a mouthpiece, and it's offensive. I can totally understand why she would think and feel this, and I found it to be very disheartening and kind of saddening. And I'd like to know your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts? I'm a white girl. I don't post a lot, like, because this is just this example, right? So say I make a lot of posts that are about like love and unity and oneness and peace. And then I'm told through the media, is not directed at me, but to whomever in a white body, to not, that it's offensive to post MLKJR stuff today. And I was like, then that could make me potentially afraid or uncomfortable with sharing something this brilliant human being did in the name of courageous love in action. It could prevent me from even posting it. To me, says then, like, well, why? Also, I understand, like, I do understand, but I would like some feedback on this, because to me, it's taking away the any addition I think anyone can add in the name of love, whether it's one day a year, like some people celebrate Christmas and that's their only connection to like Jesus. Well, that's that one day, then at least they feel that connection maybe, right? Or they're a hypocrite because they only choose to celebrate it one day a year. I guess it's my perspective, right? Am I being a judge or am I being a witness? I want to see what y'all are saying, because I'm really curious. Mark says, I believe that courage is a way of overcoming fears. Dude, you are so right on that. It really is. It's like finding fear and being like, oh, I'm afraid. And then like being courageous to walk through it. Dude, I feel you on that. I kind of want to show that one because I really like that more. Like, I like that. Thank you. Sarah Catherine's in the house. Good morning to you. LaShonda shares, yes, love does come in many different forms. That's true, right? It really does. Like it really does. Like love can come in the form of like a tsunami, right? Or it can come as little mists from the sky. You know, it's still this water force of life. It may hurt some people, and it's always going to be cleansing and purifying on some level, right? Tanisha says, we have different ways we can serve, and to share quotes honors his legacy. Unity and love is important to share. I agree with that. And I also understand her point. And Tanisha says, how dare she say that and bully? I think she says that because she can. Like, we all have freedom. We all have a freedom of speech. Well, let's be honest. We're censored AF. Duh. But the rhetoric is that we're free to speak. Y'all know what I mean. But she can say that. I can post anything. I can say anything. I can say, hey, do this and don't do that. I can affect people. I can offend people. I can inspire people. People cannot give 2 cents. And it's all okay. That truly is okay. And Alan shares that he has a Black Lives Matter sign on his front lawn. Yeah, and I know a lot of people who have had those signs in their yard and have been celebrated by neighbors. I know some other people who have literally been told that they have to take that sign down because it's not in the HOA guidelines. Now, in that case, so here I am. I live in this Mick neighborhood, right? And I pay my HOA fees and this and that. And I put a sign in my yard to say, hey, this is my expression of love and unity, right? This is my expression. And the HOA says, you can't do that. And if you do that, we're going to fine you. We're going to hit you in your pocket. So now I'm afraid because I can't afford to pay a monthly fee on addition to HOA and all these other fees to have a sign that expresses love in my front yard. So now I'm disintegrating, right? My thoughts and my body and my spirit. I'm literally kind of fractaling and pulling myself apart. And we feel that inside when we don't act in accordance to love that honors our own alignment. It doesn't feel good, right? So then how do we step forward? How can we be the person that says, F you, sign's going up. F you, I'm not paying your fee. HOA, I'm getting on the board. I guess you get on the board. How far do we take these courageous actions? I say take it all the way. I also learned that taking it all the way for me is going to be different than it is for you and you and you and you and you, right? She says that's harmful. She had the opinion to feel that way, but you have the right to share any quote because of their freedom of speech. I agree. We all have the freedom, and it's also people can get really righteous in their stance. I have, things, if you're going to do this, I think it should be done this way to hold it in reverence, please, to hold it in safety for all, or in love for all, or whatever. And there are people that are just no, this is the way I'm going to do it. So then it's okay, well, how can I be okay with what others do, the way they express their love or displeasement? Where is that word? We're going to go with that. When it's both coming at it from the same intention, right? Both are coming at it from the source of I want to be in love and in unity consciousness. I'm going to spread this message of what I feel is good. But they come out differently, and one may come out as you don't need to do it that way and you should do it this way. So can we be in that disagreement and still honor what people do in that space and still love them and not shame them or bully them? That's a question. SK shares, today is a favorite day of mine since always. Grateful for you for bringing this up. I'm grateful for you to be here for reals. Standing up in the name of love, I feel takes it takes guts. And I also think that it takes integration. I think it takes integration. I can't let my mind go all over the place and just say, you do this and you don't do that, right? And not be organized, because then I just sound like I'm just ranting, And I can't be, I can, right? You know what I mean? It's not going to behoove me if I'm an 800-pound person that's trying to be a personal trainer, right? I can't. If I'm super sick and unwell, I can't tell people to take my medicine. They're going to be no, I don't think so. Right? And if you're around me and my vibe brings you down, right? If you feel insecure around me, if you feel less than around me, if you feel afraid around me, if you feel like you're not good enough around me, then my spirit isn't being truly in this love and acceptance for all platform, right? It's just not. I was going to say, there was a point to all that. I do that sometimes. I'll read what y'all said. Mark says, if someone takes offense to something done in love, that's on them. You have the right to challenge rules and regulations. Jesus was always challenging rules and beliefs. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. If someone takes offense to some, I like how I trick over my words sometimes. I'm good at it. Anywho, but yeah, if someone does take offense to something done in love, like that's on them, right? If I feel offended, I'm the feeler of the offense. I'm feeling it. Now, am I courageous enough to speak up for it, expecting nothing in return? I can speak up, and if I hold expectations and they don't meet them, then I'm going to feel let down, and then I'm not going to be inspired or courageous enough to ask or to speak up in the name of love again. So being courageous enough to speak up in the name of love, in the face of adversity, without expectations, sitting in trust, moving forward. Like there's this dance. To me, going back and forth in that dance is being integrated. It's not just one way. I'm just going to trust that everything's going to be fine. I'm not going to speak up. And it's not, I'm just going to go and speak and I'm not going to listen to anybody. Nah. Grody, right? It's that back and forth dance. I really feel that MLK did a whole lot of reading, a whole lot of studying, a whole lot of listening, a whole lot of living, and a whole lot of speaking up and sharing and being this really beautiful force of spoken love in the name of all. You know, like literally in the name of all. I'm reading what y'all are saying. Kim says, great platform. Right? I agree. Good morning to Mr. Ben. How are you on this day? I'm happy you're joining us. Tipping the hat to you. I need a hat for you, Ben. I need to just have a hat that I whenever you hop on, I put it on and I tip it to you because I feel like you're like I feel like I need to tip a hat. What's up with that? Just anyway. We are at this really interesting time in our life, like as this generation of now, right? It's not just the kids, it's not just the middle agers or the elders. It is this now generation of like human that are given this opportunity to be courageous and speak up in the name of love. And yes, there will be adversity. There will always be adversity, I feel, if we have expectations around it. Right? Like if I expect anyone to respond a certain way to the way I share my loving perspective, then am I really being courageous? Like, am I really being authentic? Am I really letting my spirit be in open receptivity? Or am I being actually closed off, which I think feels a lot like righteousness? There's a balance. I want to read what Tina shares. Tina shares, I can only tend to those who I come in contact with. My flock, i.e. those I come in contact with every day, know me. They help me see other viewpoints. And in the times I can't really help, all I can say is, I'm here if you need me. That right there is a really powerful statement. I'm here if you need me. Like, talk about like, that's like, whenever I come home from the grocery or anywhere, and if I'm like, or from like work or whatever, and if I'm like carrying like all my stuff, you know, like if I hold a ceremony, I have like a picnic basket of mugs, I've got an urn, I've got a bolster, I'm like carrying all the things. It makes a world of difference when Michael unlocks the front door for me. Right? To me, that's the same thing. The door's open. The door's always open. I'm here if you need me. I'll answer the call. That right there lets, to me, other people know that they're safe to share their perspective, right? And their perspective is probably going to change quite often, Like, if you think about it, all the stuff that we've ever been through, we've had a different perspective, a different thought, a different feeling around it, like during the thing that's happening. You know, like, have you ever had one day where you had like 15,000 emotions? We have a different perspective. We see things differently based on all of that stuff. So to limit the way I speak up in the name of love based on, well, what if someone doesn't like it? You know, what if this one person that said that if you aren't posting all the time about Black Lives Matter, you don't need to post today, you hypocrite. Like that. Like, I want to, like, depends on where I am when I receive that information. I may never post about love again, or it may fire me up and I might post even more, right? It could be really inspiring or not. I'm talking about this because I want all of us to hopefully really integrate this body, mind, spirit approach to life so that we can courageously speak up and act in the name of love, whether that's speaking and like, I'm going to talk about it, or speaking the words of, I'm here if you need me, and then opening up to listen. It's all the same chakra, speaking and hearing. It's all the same stuff. Let's see. So Charles says, so if I'm told I can't celebrate MLK Day because of the color of my skin, doesn't that go against his teachings? Yes, I would say yes. What do y'all think? I would say so. And I don't know if this person was necessarily saying that, like, you can't celebrate it. I think that what they were saying is that if you're not actively speaking up daily or in the way that I think that they find appropriate, then they don't feel that you should post anything. And again, I can understand that. Like, I can. And I don't agree with it. And I still love her. You know, like, that to me is the integration, right? Marv asks, how can you really know whether you're right or wrong unless you stand up and speak? Ooh, that, dude, that takes guts. That takes guts to stand up and speak up in the name of what you feel to be true. And what if you're not? What if you're not right? Right? What if someone throws a fact at you, a statistic that says otherwise? Right? So you stand up and you're vulnerable, and then someone like shoots you down, right? And a lot of times that could be, okay, this is a learning opportunity. Well, that's good to know. Had no idea about that. You know, thanks for bringing that to light. Or it could be like permanent trauma wound. I'll never speak again. Right? To me, that's when, like, where's our spirit kind of playing the game? You know, is it just our egoed mind that's just running that loop of like, oh, I guess I said something wrong. I don't want to be offensive. You know, I don't want to hurt my family because they've always thought this way, or, you know, I don't want to get kicked out of the neighborhood or the church, you know, or what if the school finds out that, you know, that I speak up for, you know, unity all. Sometimes that's the courageous act. That's that fear, I guess, and walking through it. Like, I can't imagine we all feel fear, right? Like, we all feel fear, whether it's from a place of trauma, from a place of lived experience, from a place of like, no, that's actually going to hurt you. That's a bear, right? Or, you know, you eat a salad and all of a sudden you get this fear of like, oh God, what if I have lettuce in my teeth, right? Like we all have fear on some level, right? It's human. I can only imagine, like, for real, the amount of fear that MLK Jr. felt every single time before he stood up in a public arena of any sort to speak up in the name of love. And then I think, damn, that amount of fear to be met and matched with the amount of loving courage to still speak up. Man, like, talk about gut. Hashtag wicked grateful. And then here we are, more safe to do so. And how frequently do we? Like, how frequently do we stand up and speak from a fully integrated space, right? Does my body walk behind what my mind is speaking that comes from a place of spirit? Does it? Or do I trip up? Do I hold back? Do I hold back my words? Do I hold back my movement? Do I not embody it? Do I not be of service? Do I still talk shit behind people's backs, and just put on a show? Like, being really honest with ourselves, like, are we actually really fully integrated? Right? Charles says, wouldn't be the first time I was wrong. Right? As much as I hate being wrong, I love learning. I love to learn. And there's this feeling of like embarrassment when I'm wrong, like, and then when I think about why am I embarrassed because I was wrong? Oh, it's because I've grown up in a system that tells me that if I'm not right, that I'm stupid and lazy. And then I feel bad about myself. My self-esteem goes down, my self-confidence decreases a lot, and I feel ashamed. I feel embarrassed, right? And then I think we're all here to learn. Like, that's a part of life. Like, we want to expand, right? Hopefully. I think that's what MLK Jara was saying. Like, be in love, y'all. Like, let's grow together. Mark says, we have the right to be wrong. It's a learning process. That's funny. I just thought I didn't even read that first. Exactly. It is a learning process if we take it on to be that. Tina shares, why do we always kill or at least attempt to kill those who speak up in love in a public way? Because the only thing that fights love is fear. And if I feel fear, then I'm literally fighting against love. Period. I fear failing. Okay. Well, what am I actually fighting then? What's that battle? I'm fighting love. I'm fighting love for the acceptance of all that is fine in the now moment. We've been taught, I think, when the Christian colonization came in and wiped out all the indigenous and who were practicing their culture in love, right? That's what humans did before the patriarchy came and washed it and said, whitewashed it and said, you got to be this way. And if you don't, we're going to hit you with your resources. We're going to take your resources and we're going to take your culture, which is your expression of love and sovereignty in community, right? In unity. So like literally that's where I think it comes from, Tina. That Christian colonization, and nothing against Christians or Christianity. It's just a timeline of that like English patriarchy, really, the name of God, which was really in the name of greed. And then they said, okay, so then, you grow up all through life thinking, if I practice love, right, if I'm singing and dancing and sharing it, then there's going to be basically a white man that's going to come and abolish me, my family, my friends, and my community. It's literally in our epigenetics. Like, it's in a part of our DNA. So every time we stand up and speak up in the name of love with courage and tenacity and acceptance, no expectations, but trusting that your voice matters and that is making the difference, then we really start to dissolve the power of that patriarchal program that has instilled the fear in all of us. And then that's what changes the epigenetics in our DNA, because we're changing neural pathways through the thoughts and the actions and our words. Nerd alert on Vitamin Spirit via Jane. Yeah. Oh, Mark says, remember how you spoke something to me and brought me back to real life. Fear breeds hate if you give in to it. Yes to all that. Yeah. Like, I love that we are living in a now where people feel more comfortable and confident to speak in the name of love. What I find interesting is that many times when people speak up in the name of love, they're telling others what not to do, right? And then it feels more like the 10 Commandments, right? Like, don't do this, don't do that. And then I go into like just, like the law of attraction kind of stuff, right? Whatever I speak is what I manifest. Whatever I resist persists, right? That's why Martin Luther King Jr. was talking about love and light. He wasn't talking about, hey, y'all, everybody sucks. Stop being turds. That wasn't his message. His message was how to be. He was sharing inspiration, acknowledging the shit that we don't like and that we don't feel to be good or just bad. We don't like it. Acknowledging that, and then sharing the how to bring it forward, bring it out. Right? So oftentimes, because we're all in our own timeline of experience, we speak from a place of love and we tell others what not to do, right? Don't kill. Great message. How about honor all life everywhere? How about the ahimsa, right? Do no harm. Right? Tell the truth. To me, saying the thing, tell the truth, feels more loving than don't lie. Well, then what's a lie? Let me define lie. Let me see where I can nitpick that, and so I can, maneuver it. How about just tell the truth? Right? Speaking up in the name of love, literally just speaking up in the name of love, is vastly different than speaking up from a righteous perspective in the name of love, telling someone else what not to do. Telling people, hey, I don't like what you're doing. That's not comfortable with me. I need to share it. Can we come up with an agreement on how we can still be friends on this human plane? How can we be integrated on this unity consciousness plane while we disagree with the way we're being or acting or speaking or moving throughout life? That to me is integration. That to me is integration. Being okay with someone that says, don't do this. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Give me something to think about. No, I still want to do it. Okay. Or thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, okay, I don't want to do that. Like, it's not only is it integrating, and I'm going to talk more about this on tomorrow night's expansions with a topic of mercy. But this integration, right? In this episode, I'm talking about it with our body, mind, and spirit. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about it from this divine feminine, divine masculine aspect, right? The space of like creativity and nurturing and spaciousness, receiving, intuition, and a point of courage and fire and sturdiness and steadiness and focus, and integrating both of these aspects. Because to me, Martin Luther King Jr. was a really beautiful embodiment of that full divine feminine, divine masculine integration. He wasn't all mind, right? He wasn't all body, and he wasn't all spirit. He was fully all three integrated, speaking up with so much passion and courage that when we still hear his words today, read his words, experience, just even thinking about this human being, we all feel a certain way, right? Like when I think about him and the words and his energy, like he wasn't like reading, right? He wasn't like, so I have a dream about this thing. He was like, I'm here and I'm sharing and I'm speaking out in the name of love. Like he was so energetic. And because, let me just say this, like, right? Energy. When he died, like his energy didn't poof disappear. It's still around, it's still everywhere. So we all have access to that. We all have access to that courageous, outspoken, vibrant, brilliant love. It's within each of us. So can we take this day, not just this day, but take this day as the reminder that I am this whole body, mind, and spirit, and I am courageous enough from this day forward to speak up in the name of love, even if I come up to adversity. Like, can we do that? So here's a question. How can you, where, how, when, can you stand up and speak out in the name of love? Like Alan shared that he has a sign in his yard. What do you do? How do you do it? How do you do it? You know, how do you speak up in the name of love, especially when you come up to adversity? Do you get louder? Do you let the other person talk? Do you hold your ground? Do you request to be heard? If you request to be heard, are you open to listening to them? How do you do it? How do you integrate this? How do you be? How do you speak up in the name of love? I'm curious. Let me know. I feel like everything I talk about is in the name of love. I feel like some people are probably annoyed with it, probably tune me out, turn me off. And I'm okay with that. I can't not. You know, I treat everyone the same. If you're a turd burglar, I'm still going to love you and I'm still going to walk away. Period. You know, if you're kind, if you have a good vibe, I don't care. I'm still going to ask you if I can hug you. That's what I do. Charles shares, by my everyday actions, how I live my life. Can you give me an example of how you speak up in your everyday life, in your everyday actions, that this is what I was going to say, that like expresses this courageous love? And then I thought, it's funny because if I don't show it in a way that others witness, then to some it may look like I don't speak up at all. There are people that know me that never have tuned into Promise Resource Network, which and it's true. And they may think that I do nothing, right? Because they don't see what I do. Isn't that interesting? That some of the courageous ways that we speak up in the name of love may not be witnessed for all. It may be something that, you know, I go every time I go door to door, or what, I don't really go door to door, but you know what I mean? Whenever I see people, you know, I do my own thing. Nobody witnesses it, but the one-on-one interaction. Does that mean that when I do want to post something once a year, once every 6 months, that I shouldn't? Because I don't, you know, I'm not good enough to? It's interesting. Mark shares, Martin Luther King Jr. died for what he believed, and yet his belief lives on. Yes, I feel that too. Like, I feel that, like, when there is a belief and a courage and an action around, well, any belief really, but especially like a high frequency belief, like love, integration, oneness, peace, yeah, that is so resonant in our entire body and our mind and our spirit. Like, it literally resonates for all aspects of me, of us. These beliefs live on through us, right? I think they do. I definitely think that they do too. Yes, his belief lives on. And then how can we like continue to like let his beliefs live on through us? You know, like, it's almost like if someone bakes me a cake, right? So say someone bakes me a gluten-free chocolate cake, and I'm like, this is the best. Oh my gosh, so much gratitude. So excited. And then I put it on the counter and I never eat it. I just look at it. Eventually it's going to rot. It's going to get funky. Eventually I'm going to need to throw it out, right? I don't get to fully experience this gift, right? So can we make sure that, like, or bring it into our awareness that all that he said, all that he shared, all that he literally stood up for, can we not just leave it on a shelf, but can we actually take it into our being so that when we speak, we let it out. So when we show love, like that's literally what's coming out. It's kind of like if you eat a whole bunch of carrots, your nose will turn orange. True. I think I've talked about this before. You know, like, can we be our integrated bodies, minds, and spirits and let this belief system of love and equitability and equality and fairness and justice and liberation and abundance and all these things, can we let these beliefs be the way I walk, the way I talk, the way my spirit is? Like, can we just do this? I'm like, can we just do this? Like, it's like, screw it, why not? Like, now's the time. Like, what else are we doing? Talking about COVID and vaccines? Talking about some government crap? It's all a hologram. It's all a hoax. It's all a patriarchal system. Let's be something different. Let's all be what MLK Jr. talked about, right? Let's all get our minds together, work together in agreement and disagreement. Let's figure out how to work together. Let's attach heart to heart, spirit to spirit, acknowledge that we're all spirits doing it. Okay, yes. Let's get our bodies together. Let's stand together. Because it's scary being the one person standing up in the face of adversity. It's really not easy to stand up and speak up to something that you don't agree with, especially when masses and herds of people are in alignment with don't agree with. If the thing you don't agree with has a shit ton of followers, it's scary. But if we're standing together, united, speaking together in the name of love and unity, then it's not so scary. Then the amount of courage literally just comes from this deep, peaceful place within. And it doesn't feel like I'm spazzing out and throwing everybody off the boat. It feels like, no, we're just going to slide through this and clear out the things that aren't in unified love. We just do this? We just do this already? I want to say good morning to Sharon. And Sharon shares, I've been watching in silence because I came in late, but that's okay. Also, I've been shut down by some so often for speaking. You haven't been shut down by me, and that's all that matters, because I'm the one that gets to read all the things. And if somebody doesn't like what people share that I share, that's okay too, right? That goes into, we can accept it or we cannot. I accept you and I love what you share. So, to anyone else that doesn't. Nanny boo boo. Charles shares, I show up by treating everyone, regardless of whatever form they take, the same way with kindness, respect, and sovereignty. Yes, and you do. You really do. And I think that's the thing, to treat every living being, right? Every living being. I feel like so oftentimes it's like, I can't treat every human with respect and kindness or sovereignty, right? We don't treat children like they're sovereign beings. We treat them, they're our little pets, right? I'll call that shit out too. But like, if we really, like, people have a hard time treating other humans with this kindness. People have a hard time treating animals like this. People have a hard time treating trees like this, life-giving trees. Humans have a hard time treating trees with respect and kindness. And there's like, oh, whatever, just tear it down. Just cut it down. I want to build my Mick house. I know there's a million other old houses, but I want a brand new house. Right? No judgment, but that's just the world that we are growing through. So I think to speak about it, even just saying the words, that I treat everyone the same way with kindness, the same way with respect, and the same way with sovereignty. To me, that reminds me that I get to treat everyone like they're sovereign beings, with respect and kindness. Thank you for sharing that. Mark shares, it's easy to tear down someone's beliefs, but not so easy to build on it. Take the challenge to build on that belief. Yes, take on the challenge to build on someone's belief. even if it's in curiosity, right? Like, what if someone has a belief that we need to live separate, either it's separate based on religion, color of your skin, gender, political beliefs, like whatever this is, that you should live separately, right? So pretend that that's a belief system. I don't necessarily want to build on that, right? It's not in alignment for my belief. However, to build on my belief with their belief, as opposed to me trying to take their belief down before I build on mine, I want to know as much about theirs as I can. So I'm going to listen. I want to be real open and being like, so why do you feel that we need to live separately? And then I might even post questions if they're open to receiving questions and answering them honestly, right? But I think that's such a beautiful share, like build on beliefs, whether we agree with them or not. Because if I build on a belief that I don't agree with or believe in, if I am building my belief on top of it, then eventually theirs is just going to go away. It just dissolves, right? I integrate it. I don't have to take it down. Tina shares, some people cannot separate their beliefs from love. Some people can't let go of their beliefs to love others, period. That's so true. That's so true. Some people I know read verses in that Bible, which y'all know I haven't read, and they'll take it and they twist it and they turn it and they morph it so that it fits a belief that says I'm right, you're wrong. Because I'm right and you're wrong, I won't love you until you be like me. Okay, thanks. Closing the Bible book, right? Like that's a way of being that a lot of people are in. Now, can we still love and honor those people and still be courageous enough to speak up? Because at that point, that's the adversity, right? Can we still be the courageous ones and speak up in the name of love? Hey, y'all, there's still oppression. There's a whole system that takes children and funnels them into the prison system so that they become slaves. Like, talk about these things. And not just like in a, this sucks, rather, this sucks, and what can we do about it? How can we come together, right? How can we take these things and make them into something growing and beautiful and connecting and loving, right? And honoring sovereignty. Please let us always honor sovereignty. See, Alan says, Sharon, you can always speak to him. You can always speak on here, sister. Y'all, we're at a time where I think that it's just time. It's just time to say F it and speak up in the name of love. We will probably annoy people. We'll probably piss people off. We'll probably inspire people. We'll probably make big changes. We might lose relationships. We might create new relationships. Doors will close right all up in your face. Doors will open exponentially in front of you. You will walk through any kind of fear, knowing that the truth of love is what led you on your path. And why not? Why not? Why not now? I mean, really? Like, do we have to wait for another person to stand up and tell us we can? If so, then here, you can. We can. It's time. Let us all speak out in the name of love. And it's still going to look different for everybody, no matter how it's spoken. Y'all know that, right? Tina shares, those that read and translate the Bible don't like that don't follow Christ. They follow themselves or the people leading them on that path. Makes me ill. Yes. That is such a good point. That the people that are like, this is what my Bible says, which means I'm right and you're wrong. That's really not following Christ, because Christ was like, hey, y'all, we're all one. We're all love. We're all the fractal of source. So they're not following Christ or the message of Christ. They're actually following themselves or the person in the pulpit. Oh, that's such a good point. I know that we all have our influencers that we have around us in life, whether it's in light and inspiration or it's in darkness and heaviness, so we know what we don't like. I can only imagine all of the inspiration, right, that Martin Luther King Jr. received right? All the inspiration from his friends, his family, his cohorts, right? Maybe his church, and all this like inspiration that were behind him, like beautiful ducks when they fly in formation, quacking, telling him, "You got this, man. We love you. We support you. We feel you." Yes, right? Just as much as his inspiration came from all the people that said, "No, you're wrong. We're going to hurt you. We're going to hurt your family." He used that as fuel to his courageous speaking in the name of love. He didn't use it to dull that flame, to stamp out that flame. So everything he experienced was inspirational. That to me is how we have the courage to speak up in the name of love in the face of adversity, to use every single thing around us as inspiration to move and speak up. So when someone makes a post that I say, "Well, I wanted to make a post today, but I usually don't make posts about this, but now I don't want because you're going to get upset." Maybe that inspires me to make a post. Maybe it inspires me to talk for an hour about it. But we do what we do with what we get inspiration from. Let us be inspired by this man. Let us continue to stay inspired by this man, by Martin Luther King Jr. Let us stay inspired. Let us be the bodies that are still here on this earth when he is not. Let us be the bodies that use our mind so brilliantly and creatively to think of ways and create new ways to come together as a unified human force of love. Let us all be in alignment with the great spirit, the oneness, the one thing that says, "Hey, humans, you're all the same because you're human." Let us unite and keep this medicine at the forefront of our being, not just on this day. This day is the reminder. This isn't the day to be like, "Okay, good, okay, bye." Like, no, this is the day that we remember so we can step into this bigger and bolder. It's time, y'all. Let's integrate. Let's integrate me with me and me with you and you and me with the whole. I feel like it's safe. We're safe. Marv says translation versus interpretation. Yup. It is. It's like as soon as I put an opinion around it or an expectation around it, it goes to an interpretation, right? If I just say the wall is behind me, that's a translation of what is. And if I say the wall is behind me and I really like this painting, but I really don't like that one, then I'm just interpreting my experience. That was a really lame analogy, but you get it. Marv says, "We are the change we seek." Yes, right? And what is our dream? Which is probably what I'm going to be talking about on the creativity time on Wednesday at 10, is this notion of this dream. Like I want to build onto his speech. So tune into that and join me so we can actually create more momentum, more momentum around this so that we can keep this on. So it's not just today, because that's lame. Sharon shares, "I have very personal experience with the organized church that have caused me to honor Christ and his life teachings in my own way." Awesome. Yeah, I think he had a really great message. I don't know if you saw it, Sharon, but I did an episode, I think it was last week's expansions, and it was titled WWJD, but for real. Like, what would Jesus do in today's day? That really solidified for me like the Christ consciousness, and like the teachings of Buddha and like Krishna and these other beings that taught so much about love. And then my own lived experience through all the fun traumas and pulling away from it. Anyway, thank you for sharing that. So as you watch this, if you rewatch this, if you're catching it later, please chime in right on here like, "Hey, this is how I'm going to speak up in the name of love now." Like, share it. I want to know. I want to know. And last but not least, if you are wanting some more support, please call the Warm Line. It is on the screen now. The number is 833-390-7728. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it is free. So you can call it whenever you like and feel some love. Boing. And until I see you all tomorrow at 6 for expansions, please take care of yourself and each other. Please speak up for love wherever you go, whether it's just sharing the reflection of I love you to another human being, or maybe it's standing up and saying, hey, yeah, this system that you're praising, it's actually oppressive. Whatever that looks like. I dare you. Okay, I love you all so much. Keep taking care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you so soon. Okay, bye, y'all.